So, okay, guys, today we are going to discuss our unit third. We are starting our unit third, that is human physiology. We have completed 2 units. Now we are starting unit third, that is human physiology. And in this unit, we are first going to discuss about digestive system. You know all that this digestive system it is concerned with the process of ingestion of food, digestion of food, absorption of food, right? So the digestive system it is formed of we can divide it into two parts: alimentary canal, alimentary canal, and it is associated glands. And its associated glands. So we may divide human digestive system into two parts: alimentary canal and its associated glands. So first we will start with the alimentary canal. You know this alimentary canal in human beings. It is a tube-like structure. It is a tube-like structure of varying diameters. Of varying diameters. So its diameter varies from one place to another place. Esophagus is narrow, stomach is broad. Small intestine is narrow, large intestine is broad, right? So the diameter varies from one place to another place. This tube-like structure, it measures some 8 to 10 meters in length in human beings. The length of alimentary canal, it may be 8 to 10 meters in human beings. The average length of this alimentary canal in human beings is 9 meters. So alimentary canal, it is a tube-like structure of varying diameters. It measures some 8 to 10 meters in length. On average, we say it is 9 meters. This tube-like alimentary canal, it starts from the mouth and ends at the ends. It starts from the mouth and ends at the ends. Through mouth, we ingest the food, and through ends, we ingest undigested food materials. So we will start the study of this alimentary canal from the mouth. So you know, mouth in human beings, it is a transverse. It is a transverse, slit-like, slit-like opening, and it is guarded by two lips. It is guarded by two lips, an upper lip and a lower lip. So mouth in human beings is a transverse, slit-like opening, guarded by two lips, upper lip and lower lip. What is the function of these lips? These lips, they close the oral cavity. They close oral cavity at the time of mastication. At the time of mastication of food. Mastication of food. So when we are masticating food, when we are chewing our food, we close the oral cavity by the help of our lips. We join the two lips together so that in the process of mastication, this food does not slip out of the oral cavity. So that the food is not spilled out of the oral cavity. So at the time of mastication, it helps us to close the oral cavity and to prevent the slipping out of food from the oral cavity. In addition to this, these lips, they guard the oral cavity from the entry of dust and dirt. So whenever we are walking on the road and suddenly dust flows, we simply close our mouth and put our hand on the nasal, these nostrils, so that this dust and dirt, it does not enter into our body through nose or through mouth, right? These lips, they also help us in speech. When we are speaking, we make appropriate lip movement so that our words are pronounced correctly, right? So they also help us in speech. So this is the function of these two lips. So they help in the mastication of food by closing the oral cavity. They help in preventing entry of dust and dirt into our alimentary canal through mouth, and they also help us in speech. So our mouth, it is guarded by these two lips. Inside the lips, we have got two cavities. Inside the lips, we have got two cavities. What is the function of mouth? Mouth is meant for ingestion of food and water, right? Through mouth, we ingest the food, we take the food and water. So mouth is meant for ingestion of food, water, and other substances. Inside the lips, in the mouth, there are two cavities. In the mouth, inside the lips, there are two cavities. One is known as the vestibule, and another is known as oral cavity, or we also call it as buccal cavity. Inside our lips, there are two cavities in the mouth. One is known as vestibule or vestibular cavity, and another is known as oral cavity or buccal cavity. So, where is the vestibule or vestibular cavity? This vestibule or vestibular cavity, it is the cavity which is present inner to cheeks, inner to cheeks, and outside the teeth, outside the boundary of teeth. So, if we close our mouth, we will put teeth over each other. Then, outside this boundary of teeth and inner to cheeks, there is a cavity. That cavity is known as vestibule. What is the function of this vestibular cavity? This vestibular cavity, it helps us in temporary storage of food, food bowls during the process of mastication, during the mastication. If we are masticating the food and suddenly we need to talk, what do we do? We put this food bolus in this vestibule cavity, outside the teeth, in the cheek, right? So we put this food bolus in this vestibular cavity. This vestibular cavity, in Kashmiri, it is known as gul. So when we are masticating food and suddenly we need to talk, we put the food bolus into this gul vestibule. When we finish talking, then we draw this food bolus back into oral cavity and chew it with our teeth, right? So this is first function of the vestibule. So it can temporarily store food for some time in it, in the process of mastication, right? In vestibular cavity also opens. It also receives ducts of parotid gland, parotid salivary glands, salivary glands. Parotid salivary glands, they pour saliva in this vestibular cavity. So this vestibular cavity, it is a cavity in our mouth which is outside the boundary of teeth and inner to cheeks. So we may use it for temporary storage of food during the process of mastication, particularly when we need to speak, right? And it also receives the parotid salivary gland ducts. So parotid salivary glands, they pour saliva into this vestibular cavity. From this vestibular cavity, then it enters into our oral cavity. So this is the first cavity inside our mouth, that is known as vestibule. Then inner to this vestibule, there is another cavity, which is known as buccal cavity or the oral cavity. This is the main cavity of our mouth, buccal cavity or oral cavity. We will have a look at it. This buccal cavity or oral cavity, it is the cavity which is present inner to teeth. Inner to teeth. Its floor is formed of throat. Its roof is formed of palatine bones, palate, and its sides are lined by teeth. So oral cavity on its floor is lined by throat. It on its roof there is the palate, and on the sides of oral cavity there are teeth. Right. So we will first have a look at the teeth which are present in our oral cavity. You know, our teeth, they are meant for mastication of food. Our teeth, they cut large food particles into small particles. Our teeth, they break large food particles into small particles. So this breaking of large food particles into small particles by teeth, and then it is subsequent mixing with saliva by the help of tongue. This process, whole process is known as mastication. So teeth, they are involved in the process of mastication. You know, humans, they develop two sets of teeth. Humans have two sets of. The first set of teeth is known as milk teeth, and the second set of teeth is known as permanent teeth. So first we will have a look at these milk teeth. So because humans develop two sets of teeth, so humans are diphyodonts. We call this condition as diphyodont condition. Humans are diphyodonts. They develop two sets of teeth, milk teeth and permanent teeth. These milk teeth, they are also known as deciduous teeth. Milk teeth are also known as deciduous teeth. Deciduous teeth. Why we call them as deciduous teeth? Because they fall off. They fall off. They fall off. They are replaced by permanent teeth in the ages 6 years to 12 years of age. During 6 to 12 years of age, these milk teeth are replaced by permanent teeth. So they fall off. That is why we call them as deciduous teeth. Permanent teeth, they are known as successional teeth. They are known as successional teeth. Why we call them as successional teeth? Because they succeed the milk teeth. They follow the milk teeth. So when milk teeth are replaced, permanent teeth develop at their place. So they succeed the milk teeth. That is why we call them as successional teeth. So milk teeth are also known as deciduous teeth because they fall off. Permanent teeth are also known as successional teeth because they succeed the milk teeth, right? These teeth, they are present in two jaws of our mouth. In our mouth, we have got two jaws, upper jaw and lower jaw, right? These teeth, they are present in the jaws and they are arranged in a particular order. This specific arrangement of teeth in each half of the jaw is known as the dental form. So these teeth, they are represented by a dental form. We have got a dental formula for our teeth. So what is this dental formula? Is the specific arrangement of teeth in each half of the jaw. So we say dental formula is the specific arrangement of teeth in each half of the jaw. So we will first see the dental formula for milk teeth. What is the dental formula for our milk teeth? Dental formula for milk teeth. The dental formula for milk teeth is 2 plus 1 plus 0 plus 2. So what does this formula represent? So in each half of the jaw, there are two incisors. These are two chisel-like teeth. There is sorry, there is one canine. There is one canine. It is the dagger-like tooth, pointed dagger-like tooth. Then there are zero premolars. That means there are no premolars. In infants, there are no premolars. So we don't have premolars in our milk teeth, right? Then there are two molars. So this is the dental formula for milk teeth. 2 plus 1 plus 0 plus 2. So there are two incisors in each half of the jaw, one canine, zero premolars, and two molars. So this amounts to 5 teeth in each half of the jaw. Each half of the jaw. So there are 5 teeth in each half of the jaw. So that means there will be 10 milk teeth in one jaw. In one jaw. So 20 milk teeth in two jaws. So we have got 20 milk teeth in our mouth in total, right? So what is dental formula? It is the specific arrangement of teeth in each half of the jaw, right? So we have got different types of teeth. So when teeth are of different types in an animal, that condition is known as heterodont condition. So we are heterodonts because we have different types of teeth. In the front of the jaw, we have got two chisel-like teeth. Those two chisel-like teeth, they are known as incisors. Then incisors are followed by a pointed tooth, dagger-like tooth, that is known as canine. Then there are some teeth which are having flat top. They are premolars and molars. So we have different teeth. The shape of our teeth varies. So this condition is known as heterodont condition. Then these teeth, they are arranged in a specific manner on each half of the jaw. This specific arrangement of teeth on each half of the jaw is known as dental formula. So the dental formula for our milk teeth is 2 plus 1 plus 0 plus 2. We have two incisors, one canine, zero premolars, and two molars on each half. So there are 5 teeth in one half of the jaw, 10 in one full jaw, and 20 in two jaws, right? So there are total 20 milk teeth in an infant, right? So this is the dental formula of milk teeth. Then we will see the dental formula of permanent teeth. What is the dental formula for our permanent teeth? Dental formula of permanent teeth. The dental formula of permanent teeth is 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. So that means there are two incisors, one canine, two premolars, and three molars on each half of the jaw. making the total 2 plus 1 3, 3 plus 2 5, 5 plus 3 8. So there are 8 teeth on each half of the jaw. So 8 plus 8, 16 teeth on one jaw. Similarly, 16 teeth on other jaw. So the total number of teeth will be 32 in an adult person. So there are 32 permanent teeth in our jaws in an adult person, right? There is a tooth known as wisdom tooth. This, this wisdom tooth, it develops very late towards the middle ages when the person has become mature enough. So for that reason, it is known as wisdom tooth. So it doesn't erupt early in the life. It develops late towards the middle ages. Till middle age, a person has become wise enough. So he has achieved wisdom. And in that period of wisdom, the tooth erupts. That is why it is known as wisdom tooth, right? So in total, there are 32 teeth on two jaws of an adult person, which are represented by the dental formula 2 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, right? So that means we have two incisors, one canine, two premolars, and three molars. So this is the dental formula for milk teeth and dental formula for permanent teeth, right? Now, what is the function of these teeth? These teeth, they are meant for cutting off large food particles into smaller food particles or breaking up large food particles into smaller food particles. And these teeth, they line the sides of our oral cavity. So we have got diploidont condition. Our teeth arise in two sets. We are heterodonts. Our teeth are of different types. Some teeth which are chisel-like, they are known as incisors. Some teeth which are dagger-like, they are known as canines. Some teeth which are broad and flat at the top, they are known as premolars and molars. So this condition is known as heterodont condition. Our premolars and molars, they are flat at the top. They are flat at the top. So they don't have high ridges, they have flat ridges, low ridges. This condition is known as bonodont condition. So our premolars and molars, they have got low cusps. They don't have very high ridges, right? This condition is known as bonodont condition. And our teeth, they are firmly lodged in the sockets of the jaw, in the alveoli of the jaw. Our teeth are firmly lodged. This is jawbone. They are firmly lodged in the sockets of jaw. They are fitted in the sockets of jawbone. This condition is known as thecodont condition. Thecodont condition. In some animals, the teeth are superficially attached to the surface of jaw. That condition is known as acrodont condition. But in human beings, the teeth are firmly lodged in the alveoli. This is the alveolus of jawbone. Alveoli of jawbone. This condition is known as thecodont condition. So our teeth, we are having diphyodont teeth, we are having heterodont teeth, we are having thecodont teeth, we are having bonodont teeth. That means they are low cusps, they are flat at the top, right? So that is all about teeth, and these teeth are meant for mastication of food, right? They are present in the oral cavity. They form the sides of oral cavity. Now we will have a look at the roof of oral cavity. Roof of oral cavity. This roof of oral cavity, it is known as the palate. It is formed of two parts: hard palate and soft palate. Hard part is the anterior part of the oral cavity. If we open the mouth, if we wide open the mouth of a person, this is the palate. This is its hard palate. Then it has got a soft palate. So this is the upper part of the palate. Then we have got the nose. So this is the upper part of the palate. This is known as hard palate. And this posterior part of the palate, it is known as soft palate. On this hard palate, there are some transverse ridge-like structures. These transverse ridge-like structures, they are known as palatine rugae. They are known as palatine rugae. They make the roof of oral cavity a bit rough so that it can hold the food during the process of mastication in the mouth, in the oral cavity. If these rugae would have not been there, then there were chances of that our food bolus would have slipped into the pharynx without being properly masticated. So they hold these palatine rugae. They hold the food bolus in the oral cavity for proper mastication. They make the roof of oral cavity a bit rough so that food bolus is retained within the oral cavity till it is properly masticated. After proper mastication, we push the food bolus into the pharynx by the help of our tongue, right? So they are meant for proper mastication of the food. Then behind this hard palate, there is the soft palate. It is very soft in nature, right? And it is slippery. It helps the food bolus to be pushed into the pharynx. It provides the smooth surface for the food bolus to be pushed into the pharynx. Just behind this soft palate, there is a fleshy, lobe-like structure hanging down from the roof of the oral cavity. This fleshy lobe-like structure, which is hanging down from the roof of the oral cavity, this is known as bulla. It is known as bulla, or it is known as vellum palate. What is its function? It covers the two openings of the internal nails. Just behind it, our nasal chambers open into the oral cavity, open into the pharynx, right? So behind this, there is the pharynx. On the top of the pharynx, there are two small openings known as internal nails, through which nasal chambers open into pharynx. So when we are taking any food and water, there are chances that some food particles or water droplets, they may go into internal nares and then into nasal chambers. So it covers the internal nares during the process of ingestion of food or during the process of drinking of water, so that food particles or water droplets, they do not slip into nasal chambers. So this fleshy lobe-like structure, which is hanging down from the soft palate at its posterior most end, this is known as bulla or vellum palati. So it guards It protects the internal nerves from the entry of food and water into it. So this forms the roof of oral cavity. And this roof of oral cavity, it is known simply as palate. And we have seen now its interior part is hard, drawn into transverse ridge-like structure known as palatine ruggy. It is known as hard palate. Its posterior part is soft. This is known as soft palate. Hard palate, it holds the food for some time in oral cavity so that the food is properly masticated. And soft palate, it allows the smooth passage of food into the pharynx by the help of tongue, right? So this makes the roof of oral cavity. So on the sides of oral cavity, there are teeth. On the roof, there is palate. Now, what makes the floor of oral cavity? Floor of oral cavity is lined by throat. So in this floor of oral cavity, on the floor of oral cavity, there is a muscular tongue. It is attached. It is attached to throat. This is the tongue. This muscular tongue, it is attached to throat. It is attached to throat by or through hyoid bone. Through hyoid bone. So at the floor of oral cavity, we have got a muscular tongue. So what is the function of this tongue in oral cavity? This tongue, it helps in the mastication of food. So when we are cutting the food, large food particles into small food particles, simultaneously we are mixing them with saliva. So it is the tongue which rolls the food up and down, to and fro, right? So that helps the mixing of food properly with the saliva. That helps in mastication. So the main function of the first function of the tongue in the mouth is to help in the mastication of food. Number first, this tongue helps in detection of taste. Detection of taste of food. Taste of food. So we say our tongue acts as a gustato receptor. Our tongue acts as a gustato receptor. Our tongue, it is a gustato receptor. Gustato receptor. Gustato receptor means it has got the receptors for detection of taste. So detection of taste, that is known as gustation. And the receptors which are involved in detection of taste, they are known as gustato receptors. So these gustato receptors on the tongue, they are in the form of taste bud. So our tongue has got taste buds on it. These taste buds, they are involved in detection of taste. So that makes our tongue as a gustato receptor. This is the first function of the tongue. Then second function of the tongue is mastication of food. It helps in the mixing of food and saliva, right? Then the third function of the tongue is it helps us in speech. It helps us in speech. So by proper tongue movements, we are able to pronounce the words correctly. For example, I am holding my tongue here. Then I cannot pronounce the words, right? So it is the movement of tongue which helps us in pronouncing the words correctly. Number fourth, it helps in deglutition of food. It helps in deglutition of food. That means it helps us in swallowing of food. So when we masticate the food properly, then it is the tongue which pushes this food bolus into pharynx. So we push the food bolus into pharynx by the help of our tongue. So it helps us in deglutition of food. Next, it helps us in cleaning of oral cavity. Our tongue also helps us in cleaning of oral cavity. Cleaning of oral cavity after mastication of food. So when we have taken the food, then some food molecules, some food particles, they remain stuck to the teeth. Then by the help of our tongue, we remove those food particles from the teeth. We remove those food particles which have been trapped inside in the cavities of the teeth, right? So in this way, this tongue helps us to clean our oral cavity from the remaining food particles. So this is the function of the tongue. So this tongue, it is present at the floor of the oral cavity. It is attached to the throat through a hyoid bone, and there are hyoid muscles. What are the functions of this tongue? It acts as a gustatorreceptor. It helps us in detection of taste. Number second, it is involved in mastication of food. Number third, it is involved in deglutition of food, swallowing of food. Number fourth, it helps us in speech. Number five, it helps us in cleaning of the oral cavity. So that is all about the functions of tongue, right? I think this is sufficient for today. We will discuss the remaining part in the next lecture.